No, please!
That is where you belong, foolish child. This isn't just a story. It's a lesson and a warning. So grab your seat, hit subscribe, and stay till the end. Amelia Johnson was just 15 years old, the only surviving child of Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. She had a face that carried both innocence and wisdom beyond her years. Her skin glowed like polished bronze under the sun, smooth and tender, as though life had painted her with care. Her eyes were wide and curious, dark pools that sparkled with kindness and determination. Anyone who looked into them felt the warmth of her spirit. She lived with her parents in a small one-room apartment tucked away in a quiet part of the village. Their life was not rich, but it was filled with love. Her parents were proud of her because she was hardworking, outspoken, and kind to everyone she met. Her biggest dream was to pass her upcoming WAEC examination and make her parents proud. Every day after school, she walked home with her two best friends, Anne and Jane. They were inseparable, laughing together, eating roasted corn together, even dreaming together. One afternoon, walking home in their blue school uniforms, Amelia turned to them. "My friends," she said firmly, "we must study hard for this WAEC. You know I want the best for all of us. I don't just want to pass alone. I want us to pass together." Anne and Jane nodded with smiles. "We'll do it," Anne said. "We'll make our parents proud." Amelia believed that friendship was forever. She believed that no matter what happened in life, they would stand by her side. She had no idea how cruel the world could be, how quickly love could turn into rejection. The next evening, after Amelia returned from school, her parents called her into the room. "Amelia," her mother said warmly, "tomorrow we are going to the farm early. Many of the crops are ready for harvest. We must sell them to pay for your WAEC fees." Her eyes shone with joy. She hugged them tightly. "Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Papa. I promise I won't disappoint you. I will study hard, and one day I will take care of you both." Her father smiled, brushing her hair gently. "We know, my child. We are proud to have a daughter like you." The following morning, while Amelia went off to school, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson set out for the farm. The sun was barely rising when they reached their land, baskets in hand. As they bent to harvest, they noticed goats and cows trampling their crops. "What is this?" Mr. Johnson exclaimed in anger, chasing the animals away. But before they could gather themselves, a deep voice thundered across the field. "Hey! What noona they do for there?" They froze. Two huge men dressed in black were walking toward them, machetes gleaming in the sunlight. "Please, this is our farm," Mrs. Johnson pleaded, trembling. "We are only harvesting our crops." The men laughed darkly. One pointed his machete at her chest. "Shut up, woman. Who gave you permission? This land no be your own again." Her husband stepped forward bravely. "Please leave my wife alone. This is our only means of survival." "Please don't harm us. We only have just one child left and we need to take care of her. We are her only hope. Please spare our lives," Amelia's parents pleaded. But the men were merciless. With cold, swift strikes, they cut them down. Their cries echoed through the empty field, then silence. The killers walked away, leaving their lifeless bodies bleeding among the crops. When Amelia came back from school, she noticed a crowd gathered outside her house. Confused, she hurried forward. But the moment she saw her parents lying on the ground, lifeless and soaked in blood, the world around her collapsed. "No, no, no, Papa, Mama, this is not true," she screamed, falling to her knees. "Please don't leave me. You are the only ones I have in this world. Please don't go. I will take care of you both when I succeed. Please wait for me." But no matter how much she shook their bodies, they did not answer. Neighbors wept, but no one could comfort her. That night she cried until her voice broke, her eyes swollen beyond recognition. The days that followed were worse. Her uncles and aunties descended on the house like vultures. They sold her parents' belongings, seized the farmland, and left nothing behind. One evening, as she begged them not to drive her out, her uncle shouted, "Get out of this house, you good-for-nothing girl! Who knows if you are the cause of your parents' death? Nonsense! Worthless girl!" Her aunties joined, hurling insults. "Go away, cursed child! We don't want your bad luck here. You're no good to us at all. Get out!" Amelia fell on the ground, clutching their feet. "Please, uncle, please, auntie, don't chase me away. I have nowhere to go." But they dragged her outside, pushed her into the muddy water, saying, "This is where you belong, you foolish girl. Just go away!" Then they locked the door behind her. She cried until her body shook with pain. Alone, homeless, and broken, Amelia's nightmare had only begun. With nowhere else to go, Amelia wandered the streets, begging for food. "Please, please, give me some food." Sometimes kind strangers gave her scraps, but most days she went to sleep hungry. One night she found shelter in an incomplete building. She curled up on the cold cement floor trying to sleep. But then, a young man in his late 20s entered. His eyes darkened when he saw her. Amelia tried to stand, but before she could escape, he grabbed her. "Please, don't touch me! Leave me alone!" she cried, struggling. But he was stronger. He forced her down, and despite her desperate fight, he raped her. When he left, Amelia lay broken on the floor, her tears soaking the cement. "No! Why? Why am I being punished like this? What did I do wrong? God, why is my life like this? I am finished." That night her cries echoed into the empty building. Months passed. Amelia discovered she was pregnant. Her belly grew, and with it shame. She had no money, no family, and no friends. She begged for work, and finally, the manager of a construction site allowed her to carry blocks. Pregnant, under the blazing sun, she lifted heavy cement blocks, sweat and tears mixing on her face. Other workers mocked her. "See this girl carrying block with pregnancy? Shame no they catch you?" But Amelia ignored them, while few pitied her. She worked because her unborn child depended on her. One afternoon, as she carried a block on her head, she heard laughter. Turning, she saw Anne and Jane, her childhood best friends. For a moment, her heart lifted. "Anne! Jane!" she called, smiling weakly, but they laughed harder. "Our mothers said we should not be friends with you again," Jane said coldly. "They said you are a cursed child." Amelia's heart shattered. "But we were best friends. You know that's not true." Anne rolled her eyes. "I beg, come out from our front, Jerry. We can't be seen with you." Tears filled Amelia's eyes as they walked away. Betrayal had pierced her deeper than any knife. One morning, while lifting blocks, Amelia collapsed. Her body twisted in pain. Workers rushed her to the hospital. Hours later, she gave birth to a baby boy. She named him Joshua. She had nothing, but kind strangers at the hospital paid her bills and gave her some money. Holding her son for the first time, Amelia wept. "My child," she whispered, kissing his tiny forehead, "you are all I have. I will protect you. I will suffer for you. I will live for you." Joshua became her reason to keep fighting. After 3 years of hard work and struggling, Amelia rented a small room with the little money she had. To feed her son, she sold tomatoes and yams by the roadside. Some nights, she went hungry, just to make sure Joshua ate. Yet, he always found a way to make her smile. One evening, as they shared a small bowl of Gary, Joshua looked up with innocent eyes. "Mummy, when I grow up, I will build you a big house. You will never sell tomatoes again." Amelia laughed through tears, hugging him tightly. "Amen, my son." Amen. Life was still hard, but Joshua's innocence gave her strength. As time passed, life became harder for Amelia. Prices went up, and she could no longer afford goods for her business. Even her rent was increased, and despite all her pleading, she was thrown out of the house. With her little son by her side, she walked the streets, feeling as though the whole world had collapsed on her. In her heart, she whispered a prayer. "God, please help me and my son. I don't want him to suffer. Please change our story. I trust in you." Soon after, she found an incomplete building where she and her son stayed, holding on to faith and waiting for God's intervention. 2 years later, when Joshua was 5, Amelia thought of what to do to earn more so she could take care of herself and her son. She went to another construction site. She knows she would earn daily working there. Amelia carried blocks, sweat dripping from her face, while Joshua played nearby. That day, the site owner arrived. His name was Mr. Young Ho, a wealthy Korean businessman. He stepped out of his Rolls-Royce Arcadia drop-tail, and everyone bowed their heads in respect. While Amelia worked, Joshua walked up to him. "Hello, sir," the boy said cheerfully. "Please have some biscuits." Young Ho was stunned. No one ever spoke to him so casually. He bent down, smiling. "What's your name?" "My name is Joshua," the boy replied proudly. "What a nice name," Young Ho said warmly. Joshua studied his face. "Uncle, you don't look like us." "What is the name of your country?" Young Ho chuckled. "I am from Korea." "Wow. Can I back you, sir? You look tired." The workers gasped. No one had ever spoken to the boss like this. But Young Ho laughed for the first time in a long while. "Thank you, dear." "But that's impossible." "Where is your mum?" he asked. Joshua pointed to Amelia, who was carrying a block. When she saw her son with the boss, her heart stopped. She froze, cement dust covering her face and clothes. "Hey, wait and they do Joshua. Wait and carry him go meet my old guy. E1 make them sack me. I done die, oh." Amelia panicked in fear. "Amelia, right?" Young Ho asked, walking toward her. Her knees shook. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know when he left me. Please forgive him." Young Ho smiled gently. "You don't have to apologize. He's just a child. And by the way, you have a good son. You are training him well." Amelia was speechless. She bowed her head in shame. That evening, Young Ho called her aside. "Why are you carrying blocks?" "Tell me your story." With trembling lips, Amelia narrated everything, from her parents' death to her suffering to Joshua's birth. By the time she finished, tears filled Young Ho's eyes. "You won't carry blocks again," he said firmly. "Come with me." But sir, where are we going?" Amelia's voice trembled as she sat stiffly in the back seat, clutching Joshua close. Young Ho glanced at her through the rearview mirror, his voice calm, deep, and reassuring. "Don't worry, Amelia. You don't have to be afraid. Just trust me." The car glided out of the dusty village road into a part of town Amelia had never seen before. Her eyes widened as the scenery changed from old village houses to tall glass buildings and paved streets that shone under the sunset. Finally, the car stopped in front of a grand boutique, the kind of place Amelia had only seen in magazines. The glass doors sparkled, mannequins dressed in elegant clothes stood proudly by the entrance, and inside, racks of expensive designer clothes, shiny shoes, and children's wares glimmered like treasures. Young-ho stepped out first and opened the door for Amelia. His tone was gentle but firm. Go inside. Pick nice clothes, shoes, whatever you and Joshua need. Amelia froze at the doorway, her mouth slightly open, her heart racing. She whispered to herself, "This must be a dream." Her eyes darted from one price tag to another, each one high enough to feed her and Joshua for months. No, sir. I can't. These things are too expensive. I shouldn't even touch them." Before she could finish, Young-ho's voice cut in, soft yet filled with conviction. "Amelia, I know what you've been through. You've carried too much pain on your shoulders. You and your son deserve to feel human again. Please, just accept this. From me." Her lips quivered as she looked at him, then back at the rows of clothes. After a long silence, she nodded gently. Slowly, she began to walk through the boutique, her fingers brushing against soft fabrics she never imagined she would wear. Joshua, however, was a different story. The boy dashed around the shop with wide eyes. "Mummy! Look! This shoe is shining like gold!" he shouted, holding a pair of sparkling sneakers almost bigger than his head. Everyone in the store laughed softly. Even Amelia, despite her tears, smiled for the first time in a long while. At the counter, Joshua hugged the shopping bag and said proudly, "Uncle, when I wear this shoe, nobody will look at me like a street boy again." Young-ho chuckled, shaking his head in amusement. After the shopping, Young-ho didn't stop there. He drove them to a quiet, luxurious restaurant with golden lights and soft music playing in the background. Amelia felt out of place, sitting on the leather chair, her hands trembling around the fork. But Joshua was fascinated. "Wow, sir. This place is so fine," he exclaimed, looking around with sparkling eyes. "Can I come here every day? I promise I won't eat too much, maybe just 10 plates. Everyone at the nearby tables laughed. Amelia covered her face in embarrassment, but Young-ho only smiled warmly. As they ate, Young-ho turned to Amelia, his expression serious now. "So, this is all you and your son have been going through?" His brows furrowed. "You've really endured more than anyone should." "Sometimes I wonder how people can be so heartless." Amelia lowered her gaze, blinking away tears. She whispered, "Yes, but God still kept us alive. Thank you, sir, for all this kindness. I don't even know how to repay you." For a moment, silence wrapped around the table, but in that quiet, something unspoken began to grow. Something gentle, something real. When the meal was over, Young-ho led them back to the car. But instead of taking them back to the dusty streets of the village, the car turned into a gated road. Amelia gasped as they drove into a luxurious estate. The car rolled slowly through the massive black gates, guarded by uniformed men who bowed respectfully as soon as they saw Young-ho. Amelia's heart thumped wildly. She had never seen houses like these before. Tall, gleaming mansions with wide balconies, flower gardens trimmed like artwork, and beautiful streetlights. Her breath caught in her chest. She squeezed Joshua's hand tighter. "Sir, wait, where are we?" Amelia asked, her voice trembling as her eyes darted from one magnificent house to another. Young-ho pulled over in front of a cream-colored mansion with golden railings. He stepped out of the car, walked around to open Amelia's door, then bent slightly so his eyes met hers. His voice was calm, almost tender. "This," he said softly, "is your new home." Amelia blinked rapidly, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words came. Instead, she laughed nervously, shaking her head. No, sir. This can't be. Maybe you're joking." "People like me don't live in places like this." Joshua, however, was already halfway out of the car, his little eyes wide with wonder. Mummy! Mummy, look! They even have flowers that smell nice. Can I pluck just one? Please! He ran towards the garden, giggling like a child who had just seen heaven. Young-ho chuckled warmly, then stretched out his hand. In it lay a shiny golden key. Take it, Amelia. From today, you don't have to carry blocks, you don't have to pay rent again, or sleep hungry, or beg anyone again. This house, it's yours, for you and Joshua. Her hands shook violently. She stared at the key, then at him, then at the house. Tears filled her eyes until the world around her blurred. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Why? Why would you do all this for me? Who am I that you should bless me like this?" Young-ho looked straight into her eyes, his tone heavy with meaning. "Because sometimes, Amelia, the strongest people in this world are the ones who suffer the most silently. And you've suffered enough." Amelia broke. She fell to her knees right there on the neat driveway, covering her face with both hands as tears poured freely. "God! Is this really me? Is this really happening?" she sobbed. Joshua came running back, clutching a tiny flower he had picked. He knelt beside his mother, confused but smiling. "Mummy, why are you crying?" "Aren't you happy? Look, we have a big house now. I even have my own garden flower. Can I plant it inside my room?" The innocence of his words drew soft laughter from Young-ho, and even through her tears, Amelia laughed shakily too. She pulled Joshua into her arms, holding him tight, as if afraid it was all a dream that would disappear any moment. Finally, with trembling hands, she reached out and took the key. Her tears fell on it, like holy water sealing a new beginning. "Thank you, sir. God bless you." That night, lying on the soft bed, Amelia wept tears of joy. Joshua laughed, running around the big house. For the first time, she felt safe. A new life unfolded. Young-ho opened a grand supermarket for Amelia, her long-awaited dream finally alive. It felt like heaven had heard her cries at last. But back at home, Young-ho's heart was restless. He could no longer hide it. He had fallen deeply, hopelessly in love with her. Days turned into weeks. Young-ho visited often, drawn to Amelia's strength and purity. He had wealth, but she had resilience. Slowly, he realized he loved her. One evening, he confessed, "Amelia, since the day I met you, I have loved you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Please, give me a chance." Amelia was shy. She had never imagined a man of his class could love her, but her heart, too, had grown fond of him. I love you too, Young-ho," Amelia whispered shyly, her cheeks warm with color. Young-ho's eyes lit up instantly, and without another word they embraced, a trembling, joyful hug that carried both relief and excitement, as if their hearts had been waiting for this moment all along. Weeks later, their love blossomed into forever. Young-ho and Amelia tied the knot in a breathtaking wedding that drew his family, friends, and business partners from far and near. It was more than a ceremony. It was a grand celebration of love and destiny, overflowing with laughter, tears of joy, and unforgettable moments. When Amelia returned to her village with Young-ho, she didn't come quietly. She came like a shining star, her car pulling up with gifts packed for the less privileged. The villagers gathered in shock, their mouths hanging open. Was this really Amelia? The same girl they once mocked and mistreated? Or had a celebrity mistakenly landed in their small village? Whispers flew like wildfire. "Nah, Amelia be this? No, this one fine past Nollywood actress." Her wicked uncles and aunties froze on the spot when they saw her transformation. Their eyes bulged, their throats went dry, and in shame they bowed their heads, unable to speak. Justice came quickly. The police arrived and dragged them away, every wicked deed finally exposed to the whole village. But nothing prepared the villagers for the pitiful sight of Anne and Jane, Amelia's old friends. They could barely raise their heads, their faces dark with regret. Years ago, they laughed at Amelia, but life had mocked them back. Expelled from the university for stealing, disgraced and broken, they had suffered an even crueler fate on their way back home. Attacked by 3 men, left pregnant, and forced into marriages with old men just to survive, since they didn't even know the fathers of their unborn children. Jane, Chai, if I had known, I for just begged Amelia to teach me how to fry a cara that time-o, Anne whispered bitterly. Jane hissed and replied, "A beg, shut up! At least a carouseller get freedom, see where we land now." Their muttering drew a few chuckles from the crowd, but for Anne and Jane, the laughter only deepened their shame. Amelia, however, didn't even spare them a glance. With grace and dignity, she focused only on blessing the poor and the forgotten, her radiant smile proving she had risen above pain and betrayal. Regret filled the eyes of her enemies, but it was far too late. Amelia had become everything they thought she could never be: successful, powerful, and untouchably beautiful. Amelia's story became one of triumph over pain. She and Young-ho later moved to the United States with her son. She gave birth to twin girls, and together with Joshua, they lived in happiness. Though scars of the past remained, Amelia's tears had turned into strength. She had been rejected, broken, raped, and abandoned, yet she rose from the ashes. And whenever she held her children close, she whispered, "We survived." Thanks for watching. Besties, you've come this far in the story, so don't leave without showing love. Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next mind-blowing story. Also, watch our previous stories popping up on your screen. These are inspiring stories you wouldn't want to miss. Click to watch now.